We begin with a breaking news alert.
And we do begin with some major breaking news. We're told the New York grand jury has voted to indict former President Donald Trump. 7 News Chief Political Correspondent Scott Thuman joining us now to break down this historic decision by the grand jury. So, Scott, what happens next?
Well, we're all kind of waiting to see two things. One, what kind of response or reaction will this elicit from the former president? And then two, looking forward to the next steps that you're alluding to there. It's believed that it would be next week, according to attorneys who are familiar with the defense that former President Trump will put up through his team, that he may turn himself into authorities next week in New York. That would include being fingerprinted, having a mugshot taken, possibly handcuffed. That's really depending on what kind of deference the district attorney's office wants to show a former president. So that's kind of up in the air. And then he will go before a judge and have to put in the first series of legal assertions as to whether or not he plans to fight this, which of course he will. He's already said that he is innocent of all charges. And then we'll watch the politics of it all play out, Michelle, because so many people believe, well, if he were to be arrested and convicted, does that preclude him from running for president? It does not.
Right.
So it doesn't necessarily stop his run for 2024 in any respects. Could damage it, could strengthen it. You don't know. It's a crazy world out there politically. But that's going to be the next chapter of all of this.
So you said it's likely the former president will surrender next week. That's the expectation. So that gives him an entire weekend to work on his messaging, perhaps pivot and change what people are thinking about this whole situation, possibly to make himself out to be the victim. We saw that happen the last weekend and a half.
Yes.
What's likely to happen there?
Like him or dislike him, the president does have a talent for that, and he will utilize it. I spoke to somebody who's quite familiar with him, famed defense attorney Alan Dershowitz, just last week about this. He said, expect the former president to go ahead and take that mugshot, if there is one, and put it on posters, put it on T-shirts, put it on mugs, and sell it, and make himself once again to be the human who his base can rally around and say, this is someone who fights the system, an unfair system, one that goes after the conservative side of politics. This is, again, that, quote, witch hunt he likes to throw out there. So he will find a way to market this. Whether or not it does benefit him in the long run, we don't know. There's so much more to play out here, but it certainly is something that, if anyone, it would be the former president who would somehow find a way to try and position himself as completely the victim. The system is corrupt, and he deserves your vote. That is the greatest way, then, to tell the system, we dispute this claim.
And a live look at New York City outside Trump Tower as this news breaks. You know, the president, of course, you mentioned, is a master of messaging. So what do we expect in terms of the days ahead with the DA? Because the DA has been, Alvin Bragg has been vilified in the days leading up to this. So what can we expect there? We know the president has called for protests. Is that likely to happen?
That's the dangerous part about all of this, because for all the skills that we just said the president has, he also has an ability to cause more upset than people thought was possible. Look at January 6th. So now what takes place between this breaking news and him appearing in court? And does that mean, even though we only saw very small crowds outside the courthouse and outside Mar-a-Lago when he first made this assertion, but now that it's a reality, are there going to be more security concerns? Are there going to be more threats? He had some social media posts a few days ago that drew a lot of ire because he said, I think something, I'm paraphrasing, expect death and destruction type language. It's damaging and it's concerning. And so Alvin Bragg, as you pointed out, is the district attorney there. He has been completely pilloried and vilified as someone who represents everything that former President Trump is against. He's received a lot of threats himself, which is nothing to snicker at. So these are going to be very crucial days. Again, this is history being made. We've never seen a president, a former president, be indicted with a criminal case against him. And, you know, in the midst of it all, it would be news. But on top of it, we are starting to really hit a stride in this 2024 election. And I will say this, a lot of people I talk to who are watching these other candidates who haven't engaged yet, who are sitting on the sideline that may run. A lot of them are waiting to see what happens, not with this case necessarily, but what happens with charges of election interference possible in Georgia, which would be much more serious, and the documents that he took from the White House. And then finally, Could he be charged with sedition for January 6th? That is the one case of all of these that could actually prevent him from running again. That's the one, there's a constitutional interpretation, but that's the one that could say you are no longer eligible to be president. But we don't know if we'll get to that case. This is the first one, maybe more.
The first one that could potentially open the door for others to feel that it is now okay to go ahead
Or
and
if he
file
beats
charges.
it, others will say, see, once again, you've gone after him, and it's a quote-unquote bogus claim. So you don't know.
Right.
We don't know if this is going to help or hurt him in the long run.
Chief Political Correspondent Scott Thuman, thank you so much for being with us on this historic day.